Maybe. And here we go. Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. I'm excited to have this young man on the show. John Chin is a friend, an expert in all things investing. He's got a summit coming up, a cash flow summit on October 5th that we're going to talk about, a networking and implementation workshop for real estate investors. If you haven't been to one of John Chin's events, you have missed out, because let me tell you, they are fast paced. You learn a ton, and he's actually the real deal, not one of those snake oil salesmen or snake oil snails ladies that's out there promoting stuff. Welcome, John. How you doing today?
Good, man. Appreciate you. Happy
Very
early
much.
birthday.
Thank you very much.
We got a special discount code for everybody coming because of your birthday tomorrow.
That is very kind and pretty exciting. I don't get special birthday codes very often, or TED codes. So John will announce it, but we'll also put it in the comments below for the show. But all right, so before we take a deep dive, because there's a lot going on the 5th, and I saw the outline and some of the things that we could expect. So I want to give people a little bit of taste of that. But for those people who don't know you, I'd love for them to get to know a little bit about John Chin.
Yeah, so the long and short of it is I'm a broker, been licensed in multiple states as I traveled with the military for a little while there in my early days. And then I'm still a broker in North Dakota, still a broker in Florida, but we only do property management, and that's more of a function of serving investors. So we've helped investors across the country buy properties in Atlanta, Dallas, Pittsburgh, Western North Dakota, Oklahoma City. Basically, they're buying in places where the property prices are low and the rents are higher than our backyard here. And so a lot of agents work in this confined business that golden handcuffs them to their backyard because they're buyers and their inventory is local. Most of the stuff that we sell are to investors from abroad or in other parts of the country, where, like, for example, in Northern California, where a lot of our investors are coming from the Bay Area, it's not friendly to own properties in Northern California because the prices, the rent restrictions, the tenant protections up there. You can't evict somebody quickly up there if they don't pay you rent. So those investors come to us and they say, hey, we're doing a 1031 exchange out of California. We need tax write-offs because we're getting killed. We want to buy properties that are way more affordable, that proportionally create more income than properties in California. Where do we buy? And then we deliver to them a turnkey cash flow experience. So basically, we find those properties that a builder's putting up in a new construction subdivision in Oklahoma that you can buy for $250,000 that will rent for $2,000 a month. And that used to be the numbers. That's not after COVID, but that would be an example. And then they would come in, they'd buy the properties. We would install professional property managers there, and then they would have this complete turnkey acquisition and holding experience. With more 3 properties they could buy there compared to 1 property in California. So that was our model of real estate for how I've been doing it for like 25 years. And I got into that because by accident, when I was in the Air Force, selling my buddy's house, and anybody who's been in my trainings has heard this story, but a gentleman came into my open house in a pair of flip-flops and tattered shorts and a t-shirt. And he was an investor. He owned tons of properties in Wichita, Kansas. And this was a perfect bed and like 3-bedroom, 1 bath, low pitch roof, carport, or 1-car garage house. So he bought that as a rental, closed in 10 days, no finance contingencies, no inspections, super easy sale process. So from that point on, I just only wanted to work with investors in the residential space. And now we teach agents how to work with investors to close more transactions, which is relevant now because traditional buyers and sellers are not as active as they used to be a year ago. And then in the process of working with these investors, you're picking up deals yourself. You're doing creative financing because, as you know, agents, we try to please the IRS, but then that hurts the loan officer, right? So we can't get our own loans. So, hey, if you can do creative financing for a whole lot less cash and buy properties with creative terms, that suits us. And then when the market turns like it is now, we're a lot more recession proof because we just have more tools in our toolbox.
You're out there educating I mean, that's what I think of you. I think of education. I think of workshops. I think of sharing your knowledge with people. Where did that part of your business come from? Where did that educational perspective? Because you can do all you do without teaching other people and still be
Yeah.
incredibly successful. Where did the teaching part come?
Two things. Flipping houses gets boring. I've done a few hundred at this point. I really like learning and teaching. So I think that, not to brag, but if there's anything that I'm really, really good at, there's a lot that I'm not good at. I'm shitty at managing. I'm not good at admin or details. What I'm really good at is learning, distilling, and then breaking down complex concepts for people to learn and understand and apply. So that's kind of a gift of mine, and I enjoy doing it. I lose track of time when I do that. So that was kind
I
of
think we
born
all
out.
do. We all lose track of time. When you're honestly, when I was in your last class that I attended, I just couldn't believe how quickly the time went. Because when you feed it to us, when you're teaching us and educating us, it's something that it's actually palatable, which we talked a little bit about before we went live. I can understand it. Most of the time you have to dumb it down and then go another couple levels below that for me to get it. But I love the way that you engage the audience and you're actually speaking to them in terms that they can understand and digest.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's just something, I don't know, I just kind of came across and just enjoy doing. And because it's something that I'm really passionate about. Like right now, there's a lot of people out there who work with investors and agents, and they're trying to be the personality. I really don't want to be the personality. We have a training program called the Certified Residential Investment Specialist designation. It's a designation support program, continuing coaching for agents who want to up their game and become, quote, investor agents. But I don't want my face to be the face of it. We like celebrating the stories of agents. So what's boring to me is flipping a house. What's really fun is when I get to see somebody actually apply what we do. They post the social media posts that we teach to post to attract investors. They are negotiating creative finance terms that they never would have thought they could have ever done, and controlling like 4% mortgages right now because they're buying subject to. That's what really excites me. When they bring a seller a traditional listing and say to the seller, look, we can't sell your house as it is. It's a little bit overpriced. Market's a little bit different. Showings are decreasing. But if we can offer seller financing and bring to the market something that a big audience is starving for, we can get you a higher price if you're flexible on terms. Let me break down the numbers and the protections for you. When they do that, and then you see a house sell that wouldn't have sold otherwise, and then make a commission they wouldn't have made otherwise, that's cool stuff. So that's what I really get passionate about, is just seeing agents who traditionally operate with two tools in their toolbox. They help buyers buy houses who qualify for traditional financing, and they help sellers sell houses. When they start doing other creative things that, by the way, different times in the market command different tools for us to have to learn and adapt to. So if you go back to super high interest rate climate in the late 70s, early 80s, we had to learn seller financing. You know what I mean? Because so many properties were trading with seller financing. Fast forward, we go to post financial crisis, and 70% of what was on the MLS was heading to foreclosure or coming out of a foreclosure as an REO listing. You had to learn how to help buyers buy short sales and how to list short sales. And if you didn't, you would have been a statistic. And now we're starting to see the first inning of what I think is going to be a 9-inning purge of realtors. I think we lost, for the first time in 11 years, we lost agents, 60,000 agents in the last 6 months. And I think that that's just the beginning, because we're in for some financial pain, unfortunately.
Yeah, you talked about that and we'll get to the October 5th event in a little bit, but you talked about that at the last, I went to the Subject 2 event.
Oh, yeah.
Which I just found fascinating because I didn't know enough about it. I knew just a little bit. And when you talk about creativity, there's just so much creativity, but you talked about the pain that you see coming up. So give them a little snippet into what you're thinking there, and then we'll take a deep dive into October 5th.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go heavy and then we'll go light. So not to depress everybody, but the reality is that we're in the middle of a debt crisis, corporate debt crisis, student loan debt crisis, credit card debts are going through the roof right now. People can't keep up with inflation. At the end of the day, stuff has gotten way more expensive, mainly because of unsustainable monetary policy. Interest rates have been so crazy low, and we think it's normal where they've been, but now it's normal. What we saw in the last 10 years is not normal. So because they've corrected so fast in the last 12 months with all the tightening they've been doing and the rate hikes, we're now in a normal environment as far as monetary policy. But because it's such a contrast to where we were, it basically exposes how unhealthy we were economically. So now you have these artificially inflated stock market correcting. You have people who thought they were doing well in a regular interest rate climate, in a regular monetary policy climate. You have people who cannot pay for inflation because our dollars have become worth less, and it just expenses have gone up, but our wages haven't. So credit card balances are going up, savings rates are going down, mortgage defaults are going up, and I think that's going to get worse. So Federal Reserve, I think here's the positive thing. The Federal Reserve is not going to get the soft landing they thought they could get on the backside of all these rate hikes. It's going to be a hard landing, which means that they're not going to be able to settle back into like just slow down rates. They're going to have to reverse course and go backwards again, because they're going to have to take emergency measures, I think, toward the end of this year, beginning next year. We'll come back to this podcast and see if we're right, but they're going to have to.
You're right.
The good news is they're going to come back, and then rates are going to come crashing down, which is going to create another bubble, not bubble, but hyperactivity in the market. Because as you probably know, so many people on the sideline waiting to sell or buy.
So many.
Down. Yep.
It's crazy. And, it's interesting because we were most people in the traditional market side anyway, just very spoiled over the last three years or more. And so when rates just began to creep up to what I also would consider more normalized, man, did people just sit out? They're just sitting out sidelines. It's so crazy to me. And yet you understand, right? I mean, you've got a 2%, 3% interest rate, and then you have sellers that are like, well, God, I'm going to have to pay 8%. You have to have an educated lender, an educated realtor to kind of explain to them how that all works and how it's not as bad as the media portrays it in certain instances.
Yeah.
I love what you said. And this is what you teach. So let's talk about October 5th, which is coming up in 2 days. The link is in the body of this post, and we'll put it in the comments as well. Talk about what's going to happen on October 5th. What are you talking about?
So October 5th is kind of like a third part of a whole series of different trainings that we've been doing. There's a theme, and the whole theme of all the trainings we do is how do you buy properties and get a much higher ROI on the cash that comes out of pocket to do your acquisition and your rehab and so forth. Whatever income strategy you're going to use, how do you increase the ROI on that money? So if you're going to buy a traditional rental property at today's rates, at today's prices, today's rates wouldn't be such a problem if our prices were more so unaffordable relative to our incomes, right? You throw these normalized interest rates on top of it, which we're not used to, and now it just becomes, you have to put 50% down on these properties today in Central Florida. For the most part, you can probably get away with maybe 35% down payment if you find a good one. For it to just carry itself based on that mortgage payment and the income you can produce on a traditional 12-month lease. So the next evolution of that is, well, shoot, if there's a creative way that I can jack the income up on these properties by doing something creative like a short-term rental, or what's becoming popular now is the pad splits, where I can rent the individual bedrooms out for $800-900 a month and make more bedrooms out of the other spaces that are common areas like the dining rooms and the living rooms and what they call the conflict areas, then I can really juice my income up. And with the short-term rentals, that's a fun conversation now, because post-COVID, there was a little bit of a short-term rental bubble. I think in Central Florida at this point, we're seeing like revenues drop in the last few months 30%. So their average daily rates and their occupancies have gone out. So we manage short-term rentals when we see this firsthand. Erica Moeller is going to speak to that. And Oriana, who is the Florida rep for pad splits, going to speak to pad splits. So we're going to hear two examples of different ways that you can increase the ROI of your properties by just taking a different income strategy.
Love it. I actually listened to Pad Split at your Subject 2 event. That was the first time I'd have been exposed to that. I had to go do some research because it was fascinating, the concept there.
Mhm.
Again, you're strategizing in a way that's getting the most out of the market that you possibly can. And yet whoever came up with that whole Pad Split and the marketing is brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because think about all of the income that people have left on the table. Hey, Heather, thank you. Yeah, John Chin is amazing. Of course, his wisdom blows my mind, mine too. Trust me, on a daily basis. Heather Hurry, but yeah, I think that any discussion about Pad Split is fascinating. So when you're teaching, I mean, you are talking, you are giving back, but the audience is incredibly interactive with you because as you continue to educate and the other speakers continue to educate, it just raises all of these questions in your brain. And so it creates this really cool, fluid, dynamic kind of interaction between everyone, and everyone gets involved because they're all there for a reason. You don't go to a John Chin event and just because you stumbled onto it one day or said, hey, I've got nothing else to do. You're thinking about growing your business and expanding your horizons when you go to one of your events.
Yeah, it's I think right now we have a 5-year window to take advantage of creative financing and to optimize those low carry costs with an optimized income stream. So if there's a way that you can acquire properties with lower carry costs and a way that then you can jack up the income on those properties, you do create cash on cash returns. So the window that we're going to have a major wealth transfer, in my opinion, I think it's actually going to be worse in 2008. I used to say it's not going to be as bad. I don't think it'll be as sharp. It's not going to be caused by the same reason because we don't have irresponsible, cheap, easy money out there right now that's going to be the catalyst for it. But it's going to be caused for other reasons because the mortgage-backed securities, you have a lot of default coming on the horizon there. You have a lot of student loan debt. You have corporate debt crisis that we're going to have to contend with. All of that's going to trickle down to people's ability to buy houses. It's going to affect our finances. And I think that's how it's going to indirectly affect real estate. And there's going to be a lot of financial pain and a lot of opportunities for people who are prepared on the commercial front and the residential front. So we're trying to get everybody ready for that so that we're not trying to react to it when it's on top of us. We're positioned before it even happens.
Love it. And that's what one step here is to attend on October 5th. So tell them about the special discount code and then what's the best way for them to I have a link scrolling across the bottom there, which I think is the link to get to the tickets to buy, to purchase.
Yeah, there it is. So it's if you actually want to go to chrisagent.com/ROI. So CRIS and then agent, agent.com/ROI.
Perfect.
That is the link to the event. So once you get to the event registration page, if you want to join us for free, so they're $47 for a seat, but because it's Ted's birthday tomorrow, and you use the discount code TED B Day, it's all one word, no spaces, just TED B Day, then you'll be able to check out for free and
That's
join.
a beautiful gift.
Yeah, we don't have many seats. As you know, all of our events are standing room. So if you get there late, you're going to be standing. So be sure that you register quick.
Yeah, this isn't one you stroll in 10 minutes late, folks, because John's on it and we have started and it is standing room only. But I love that there's a hunger for it. It also is a testament to the fact that you and the speakers that you bring in are giving out valuable information that's real. And I think what Heather said is right. It's forthcoming with knowledge and wisdom. Like that is stuff that we all need to hear. Maybe some of us didn't know we needed to hear it. But I think that what's on the horizon, you're 100% right. We need to take a listen to what John and his guest speakers have coming up on the 5th. So John, one last question. I like to ask a personal question of people. And I don't think I knew that you served in our military. Thank you for that. So I think of anyone who served in our military as a hero. So when I say the word hero to you, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Single moms.
Tell me why.
Oh, you get me emotional talking about single moms. It just, I don't, just being married to a wife and seeing what she has to do, and the load that they carry for the kids in the house. Um, uh, to think that somebody does that by themselves and bring in the bread, like to me, is just, I'd question whether or not I have the strength to do it. So for any single mom out there where it's her and her kids against the world, and they're still able to keep things together and raise good kids. It's tougher as a single mom to do it than even dads, because there's that accountability element that you don't have in the house. But anytime single moms can hold down the fort and make money and raise kids and show them kids love and make sure that they're fed and have education and so forth and they're good with their friends, to me that is the hardest thing in the world, because I grew up with a single mom, so I recognize that now more than I did when I was little.
Beautiful. Thank you. I agree. All right, guys, CRSagent.com/ROI, right?
Yep.
And use Ted B Day, and we'll put that in the comments below to get into one of John's events free. You guys don't want to miss out. It's October 5th. It's this week, so it's 2 days from now. You will absolutely walk away learning so much. And in this market, more tools in the toolbox. That's what we want. We want to know what's coming up, and we also want to kind of have an idea on how to hedge that and mitigate it and do well in this crazy world that we have going on. John, it's always a pleasure. Such an honor to have you on the show. I love spending time with you. And I do love the fact that you give back so much. You really do share all of your knowledge, and that is a gift, my friend. So thank you for that.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, guys, October 5th. Don't forget, follow that link. We'll see you soon. See you October 5th. Bye, everybody.